Hello and welcome to our second day of the Grand Prix decks. These are the ones that were posted in the announcements. If you want to see all of the decks from the announcements, you can find them on Shadowverse's homepage here, where you can just go to the top and you'll see Grand Prix Unlimited decks. Click on that and it'll bring up all the decks from the Grand Prix Unlimited, with every single class having about 3 except for Portal with just 1. So honestly, not bad, this Elena deck. I really enjoy Elena decks to begin with. It's very similar to the one I was running originally anyway, but definitely a deck that I enjoyed playing, so we're going to get right into it and check this deck out. So our first game is against Blood. Blood can be a reasonably quick game matchup for this deck. You don't even need Elena to win against Blood, just because your followers have so much value with both their healing and their health totals that it can really limit what kind of damage Blood can do to you. So you're not always going to need Elena with this deck, but it definitely does help. It can easily secure games a lot quicker than anything else at the moment. At least from what I've played. Once you have Elena on board and you get even just one Tenko out, you can absolutely decimate your opponents.
This is my home.
So we see the Spiderweb Imp pinging them for 2, which is great for me. Of course, Spiderweb Imp is a little annoying just because removing a 1/4 is a little hard for Haven without just using a Decree. So being able to clear that will be a pain. Which means they are going to get a reasonable amount of damage out of these cards.
Crystals of snow.
Snow White, though, will at least open up an option for us. And Belf perfectly on 4. I don't think this Blood player could have asked for a much better hand. Pretty much a perfect curve, excluding a 1-drop, which even a 1-drop only would have added a couple more damage to me. So our Priest of the Cudgel is going to do really well, being able to remove the 1/3 and the 4/4. Setting up really nicely for our following turn, where we could probably go for the Tenko, or we could just focus on using our Black Inscriptor Healing Angels to really just heal up and remove things, which is pretty great. Of course, the Diablo Drain. This does put them out of Vengeance though, so that Spiderweb is going to put them back, so pretty good planning on their part.
This is my home.
The player definitely knew what they were doing when they went into this match. So from here, we really need to be able to take this back. That's where things are going to be interesting. So it took me a bit to kind of just think about it, but I worked it out.
Crystals of snow shimmer.
I can actually remove everything on this board pretty easily, although I probably should have went for the Tenko play instead, but I really wanted to get the Black Inscriptor out, which really would help me remove everything effectively. We still get 2 healing. Plus, if we happen to draw Elena's Prayer, we've got a chance with these Tenkos to really do some damage.
Love remedies all.
So it's from here that our opponent really would need to be able to remove all of this, and that's where it's really difficult on them.
Ow.
Because we're only really going to heal up from here.
Such sorrow.
So there's their Soul Dealer, dealing X damage to their leader.
Aw, man.
Setting themselves to 4 was probably the worst idea ever, but they ended up conceding anyway, so I can see why they did it. To follow up on the previous game, we have Forest. Forest is one of the few classes that I normally struggle against in Unlimited, just because Roach is such a overpowered card when it comes to Forestcraft. Being able to literally decimate your opponent from hand, regardless of wards in a lot of cases, is absolutely devastating. Of course, that doesn't mean it's completely overpowered. There's definitely some weaknesses to it, but I think those weaknesses are far and few, which is why people use it. Like, I mean, people are going to use what's strong, that's a given. So we actually get basically the ideal hand now. Setting up our turn 3, turn 4, turn 5 plays all the way along this is going to be absolutely insane. And since our opponent hasn't really been throwing any followers to the board, we don't really have any concern at all. So as long as these cards stick, we're looking at a really solid game. So we're going to be able to get our Tenko's Shrine out. Could have went for the double Elena's Prayer, but knowing this 1/4's on board, I really wanted this Tenko Shrine to be able to do some work. Plus, sometimes going double Elena isn't a good choice just because it requires so much. At least Tenko's Shrine is going to let us ping stuff pretty quickly.
You're done for.
So Arya the Guiding Fairy, laying down the law with its Fairy Wisp. They really were just playing the board at this point, wanting stuff to really clog it up. But we get our Tenko out. Don't even need to use my Tenko. I found that evolving Tiger is a lot better than going for the Tenko sometimes, just because you avoid having your Tenko to take damage, which is what you don't want to happen. So now it's a 50-50 on this hit. It wouldn't have mattered which one I attacked because Tenko Shrine activates before my attacking phase. So I really just decided to hit face. The damage to face was more important than trying to clear out both these followers were. And they conceded very quickly after that Tenko play. So we do have one more game for you guys because these games were extremely quick, so we'll get right into that. So our last game is against Sword. He has a great emblem. It's chilly in here. It's one of my favorite things.
Bear the past, but seize the future.
So double Rabbit Healer and a Blackened Scripture. Whether I'm comfortable with those? Not really. Rabbit Healer's great in the later game, not so good in the early game unless you are up against aggro, and even then it's still one of the weaker healing cards you could probably get. At least in the late game it really shines because you can play them very effectively with Elena's Prayer. So we get our Elena, which is great, especially since we already have a Beast Skull. All we're really missing now is to draw into really anything else that we could use. So being able to get something decent is the biggest key now. And we got our Tenko, which is perfect. If we can draw anything else, we're going to be absolutely devastating this board. So they go for the Mars. Now this is something that I thought about quite a bit on this turn. It took me a while to decide how to play this out originally. I decided to go over with the Elena's Prayer on curve because I felt like that was the best way to go for value, but that does mean this Mars can gain heaps of value off this, and that is a bad thing. In 99% of cases, you do want to remove Mars as effectively as possible. I did decide to overlook Mars in this case, just to prioritize really getting that Elena out to take advantage of it on 5 with the Tenko and the Beast Call proc. So the Gwen is going to get double value as well. A little disappointed that Gwen is getting as much value as it is now. Another Mars, not really a problem, but just an annoyance.
We'll never surrender.
Nearly a Silver Paladin.
It's not enough yet.
Strike!
So leaving the Mars out, while not being the best move, I still think was the right choice. I don't think I would have got Elena out at any other point in this game if I hadn't have done that then. That was really what I needed to do. So we go for the Tenko. We do have the Decree next turn, so worst case, we can Decree this board.
Now this is exciting. You're fine now.
So we get to pretty easily remove that and kill off the 6-3, which is okay, although I would have loved to have got rid of the Gwen, but Mars was just so much more value for them overall. Especially since their Gwen had already attacked at least once or twice there, which meant Arthur was possible play, so really didn't want Arthur and Mars to have a combo together. But this isn't too bad at all because their trades pretty much have to deal with this 8-4 Tenko. And that 2-3 over there, looking pretty good. We've already got our 6-6 up. Plus, these Amaterasus are great. Moon and Sun actually has a lot of value in this deck. When you play the Amaterasu with the Evolve, and you can gain the healing off it with every single clash, including opponents' clashes, with Elena on board, just constantly boosts these followers up.
Take up my shield.
So it does let us get the 7 damage to face, which puts us ahead in total. Roll on the Incorruptible, that's an interesting one, because it's not a card I actually expected to play against. Then coming up with a sneaky way to deal with all of this was exactly what I wanted, so I do come up with a pretty decent way to do things. I take the 50-50 first, which ends up going in my favour, killing off the 4-3 pretty effectively, allowing me to Blackened Scripture it, which gives us a really large amount of damage. I mean, it's only 8 because of the Incorruptible Blade, but that's a pretty decent amount of damage when Blade is on board. Being able to score 8 on a turn with a full clear, couldn't ask for anything better. So I hope you guys did enjoy this video. If you did, do hit that like button and subscribe for more content. You can find this deck in the description below, and be sure to check out all the Grand Prix videos that are both coming up, and check out the Grand Prix decks while they're available on the Shadowverse page. You can definitely find them all there, which is great. So I'll catch you guys next time. See ya.